1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the GroundUp Podcast. My name is Matt Walton, here with my co-host Matt Huber. Matt, how you doing?
Great, man. How are you?
Good. We got a guest today, and our guest is Mridul. He is actually somebody we've been working with for a little while now, helping to drive some sales to his team. He runs a company called Whitecarrot. I'm going to let him tell you about it in just a second here. But another entrepreneur who's out there looking to grow a business and to grow it very big. And Mridul, how's it going today?
All good, all good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thanks for being here. So tell us about Whitecarrot in your words.
Yeah, so Whitecarrot is a recruitment software that helps companies of different sizes manage their recruitment end to end. So it starts with getting all the internal approvals in order from different managers, getting all their acquisitions in place, then posting jobs on different job boards, getting the CVs in from candidates, headhunting those candidates, and then scoring those candidates using our AI scoring algorithms, and then sending out offers, managing interviews. So pretty much the whole recruitment process is managed by our customers on the system, on our platform, Whitecarrot. And we integrate with companies like SAPs and Oracle, so companies that are using these big enterprise solutions. They would connect Whitecarrot into their HR stack, and Whitecarrot would really help them streamline their recruitment.
And you guys utilize AI, which is a very obviously buzzword right now, something that's really big and something that helps out a lot of people. So how does AI fit into this software you guys use?
AI is not just used in the product. Like at this point, we are a completely AI company, meaning we use it for building the product, we use it for testing our product. I've been part of building tech products for a very long time, and AI is a big game changer in how we look at hiring, how we do our recruitment, and in our product, mainly when we look at things which are customer facing. For them, most crucial part where AI helps is really finding those top candidates. So you're getting hundreds of applications. How do you get to the top candidate as quickly as possible? It's a value-based hiring or a volume-based hiring, meaning you're getting a lot of applications and you want to find the top candidate, then the AI would really help you get to that top candidate. And if it is a value-based hiring, meaning you're headhunting or you're trying to find a good candidate, but then you would want them to move very fast through your recruitment funnel. And that is also AI really helps in many different pieces of the recruitment funnel.
So let me ask you this. How did you get to the idea of creating Whitecarrot? I mean, where did that idea come from? Is that your background, or is your background more in building software? Like, how did you land on Whitecarrot in the solution that you built? Or is it just, I'm sure it's probably grown over time in regards to the idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So my background before Whitecarrot is in building HR tech software. I was building HR software similar to what you might have seen, like Rippling or Gusto. So we have an HR tech company in UAE where I was the founding member in 2015, and I saw it grow from 5 people to 300 over the period of 5 to 7 years, where I was wearing multiple hats during that time, and that really exposed me to this HR tech space. And I was exposed to recruitment as a manager, getting people in Turkey, India, UAE, GCC, all these parts of the world, Europe. And it was fair. We always thought, okay, recruitment is really broken. Tools cannot really help us that much. In 21, 22, when I decided to start Whitecarrot, it was pretty clear that this is one big problem that is still unsolved. There are too many fragmented solutions in the market. You have to find, mix and match multiple solutions to really solve your problem. I've been on the other end where I was trying to hire candidates, and it was extremely difficult. So that is how I got into building a software for recruiters and for hiring teams, solve the problems around hiring.
What are you seeing that's probably the biggest thing companies right now are missing on when they're looking for the candidate? What's the biggest thing that they're probably struggling with or missing on in general?
Yeah, I think it really depends on the company's size. We can make some generalizations, but if I have to find one thing, I would say companies usually have a recruitment process. They know who they want to hire, but doing bringing the consistency into the process, especially once you graduate from being a company that is making one-off hires to continuously hiring. Once you get to that point where you need to have a scalable recruitment function to make that leap from not really having a recruitment motion to having a recruitment motion that continuously delivers, that leap is very difficult for a lot of companies to make, and that becomes a limiting function for smaller companies and even for larger companies who have this kind of motion. They have been continuously recruiting for many years now, but these processes are very outdated because the job markets and candidate market has evolved so much in the last few years since COVID, whether we talk about remote, whether we talk about any other aspects of the job. The markets have evolved so much, but the processes and the systems that companies use are very outdated.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you guys, so you don't focus on the people who are maybe hiring one every year or whatever like that. It doesn't really help them because they can just do the process through Indeed or whatever. Obviously, you would still you could help them, but it doesn't really make sense for them to buy your product. Now, you're looking for people who are consistently hiring over and over again. Like they need sales reps consistently. Maybe they have, hopefully, they don't have high turnover, but for them to consistently have help coming in, and you guys have this process where it comes in and brings all your candidates in, organizes them all, and keeps recruitment flowing, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think a great parallel is CRM solutions for, let's say, sales. Like if you're making one deal a month or two deals a month, you don't really need a very established CRM system. But if you want to establish a sales motion where you're continuously making deals, you cannot even imagine doing that without a proper CRM that really integrates with your processes.
I know when we started working with you, the original my team had a certain way that we like to hire. And you and I had a conversation around we don't typically go off of resumes, which I think is how most of the platforms are built off of, like a resume grading system, right? And maybe you can talk a little bit more about how you grade a candidate based off of that. But we were probably a different case in that we really looked at maybe personality traits and having a grading system in there. Talk to me about when you have a candidate like us who uses the tool more for looking for characteristics and personality traits, how they can still benefit from the system that you have in comparison to maybe what you guys originally built for the standard person.
Absolutely. That's a very good question. So, um, one of the reasons why CVs or resumes get such a big weight when it comes to recruitment process because they are the easiest proxy to understanding what the candidate has been through in their life and what the skill set,
Disqualifying
what
people
skills.
too, I'm guessing. Right, and disqualifying
Exactly.
people at the same time, right? You get them out of here. Yep.
Absolutely. But the CV and many companies have tried to change how CVs look, feel. Like even LinkedIn tried that, Monster.com tried that. Even these job boards tried to build their own profile, but the industry keeps on coming back to CVs as a proxy to look at the candidate. But this is where I saw a solution like ours would come in, where CVs are just a way to initially um, shortlist the candidate, as you said. CVs are just a way to get the initial shortlist out, but post that, the getting the qualitative information about the candidate, about their soft skills, or getting some information from the candidate, maybe. So one of the things that one of the toolkits that we provide to our customer is they can collect videos from their candidates, and it's a one-way video where candidate can record a video and submit it, and it's very seamless using their mobile and so on. So that's one way you can collect. There's a chat that the candidate can have with the system, and the system gets to understand the candidate a little bit more than just the CV. So the system needs to be more equipped with these other toolkits, which is where a lot of these point solutions come in. Like if you think about solutions like Test Gorilla or a lot of assessment solutions, there are many companies that provide that. So originally, if we look at recruitment landscape, the way it worked is people would buy an ATS, and then on top of that, they will add all these plugins. So they would use an assessment solution to collect videos. They would use an assessment solution to do skill-based testing and some psychometric testing and so on. What we provide is that we have all of this in one system, and based on your job, the system recommends what is the right way to go. So you can tell the AI that, okay, this is how I want to score the CV. But on top of that, you can also tell the system that, okay, let's collect videos from this candidate. And based on that, we will actually make a good decision and we'll be able to get to the top candidates much faster.
Awesome. Now I'm curious about this. You guys are based out of UAE, right? Am I wrong on that?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys sell to a lot of different countries right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you're trying to break in more into the U.S. market. And so I want to know, like, what differences have you seen from the U.S. market to other places around the world when you're trying to sell as people buy? What differences have you seen with the type of clientele from both sides of the world?
One of the key difference that became very apparent for us right away was just how the candidate market is so different. So in GCC, where we are based, you get applications from not just UAE. Let's say if I'm posting a job in Dubai, I would not only get applications from UAE, but I would get applicants from India or Pakistan or Sri Lanka applying for that job. So now the candidate pool is much bigger, and it's 90% of UAE population is expats. So you would open a position, and if there is a person who's from another country, you would still, if it is the right fit, you will just get them here and issue a visa.
Now, are these people that are going to move to UAE to work, or are these people are remote?
Most of these people move to UAE to work.
Okay.
Yeah, so UAE, 90% of the population is expat population, and
Okay.
these are people who are migrant workers.
Okay.
So that's how the market is structured. UAE is like a big, you know, labor market in itself,
Yeah.
the whole country. So, but that's what makes it exciting. So that is very different market from how US operates and how hiring is done in UAE. So the candidate landscape is a big one. Headhunting is also a lot more prevalent in US, where you would go out and find the right candidate versus relying on incoming applications. So there are more jobs per candidate in US versus in UAE. And then there are on sales side, the way companies are set up in US is they probably are using some system already. Most companies that are continuously hiring, they have some system, mostly a legacy ERP system that they are using already for recruitment. And we are talking to those companies on how our system is so much better than what they are currently doing, and it will provide them a better ROI and they can hire much faster. Versus in UAE, most of the companies that are using our system are first time ATS users. They have never used a system in the past time. This is a few key differences I can think of in my head. Yeah.
To most of the people you said in the UAE, they don't even have any recruitment system. You guys are coming in actually providing some kind of solution. But here in America, a lot of people have those solutions already, some kind of ATS that they're using right now. And then they obviously our challenge now is to get them to understand that the AI option that you guys have and all the other things that bring into it.
Absolutely.
So let me ask you this. We're talking a lot about what you do today, but before you were here, and what Matt and I like to talk a little bit about is what got you to here. So I'd like to know a little bit more about you kind of in your youth when you were in school, before you went into the workforce. Who were you then?
So I grew up in like a small town in India. I mean, I call it small, but it was 5 million population. That's what we call small in India. And but I call it small because it was not really an urban center. The employment opportunities and the corporates that we think of when we think of companies were not really there. So during my youth, the idea was always to, you know, get the right education and then move out of that city and find a good working environment. And I did that through my formal education in finance and accounting. But I was always into building things. I got exposed to my first system when I was maybe in third or fourth standard. I had a computer in my father's office, and I used to go there. And I remember I built a game. I used to burn CDs for my friends. Like I was the guy who knew his way around a computer, and I was always interested in creating things on a computer, the PCs at that time. And that's what got me interested into tech. And I started my first company based out of that small town while I was still pursuing my education. I was building camera bags. At that time, DSLR cameras were all the rage. And then I wanted to start a tech company. So I decided I should join a startup where I can work, and I found Bezat here in Dubai.
So out of school, you decided basically to start up a company, to create a company. So you had kind of like an entrepreneur spirit immediately. Is that something you picked up through your parenting and society and your community? Is that ingrained in you, or is that something you feel like maybe you were born with? I mean, talk to me about like how you were raised to make you go that direction, or is it just something that you did in lieu of maybe what your society would tell you?
It's actually, I come from a community in India where it's looked down upon people who don't work for themselves. Right? That's the community I come from. But that's where I think a lot of the initial ideas come from, of like wanting to be an entrepreneur, and that's what I saw in me, in my household, in my family. My father had a business, and most of the family friends that we used to visit, they were all business owners. I was always inspired by these stories of large businesses, Fortune 500 companies, how companies that survive more than 100 years, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs of the world, like consume that sort of information because that's the top of the game. So as a kid, that's where my head was, and it was always the plan to be an entrepreneur and try to be the best one. In that case, that as a kid, that's how I grew up in my high school, and that's how where my head was at.
So right now, today, you said when you were growing up, like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, those guys were the guys that you looked at. Who do you look at today? Like, who do you look at and say, man, this is somebody I like to learn from. I aspire to continue to grow like. I know that for me, my taste of what I digested when I was in my 20s, it was sports and sports only. And now, as I've evolved through my 30s and now into my 40s, almost everything I listen to is probably political or business related. How about you? How is your taste grown in regards to who you digest, what you digest, and who you gain inspiration from?
At this point, I still look up to a lot of business leaders, but there is no particular idols or people who I aspire to be, because I think at anyone who is running a profitable business for themselves that serves them and people around them is doing a great job. So there are a lot of such people that I look at, like for example, Naval Ravikant from Angel List. That's a person who I follow, and he has a lot of really useful content around entrepreneurship, around life in general, and tying both together. As I get older, I realize that rather than picking up many books and not getting much out of those books, find some really good books and go through them again and over again. So there are a few people like Yuval Noah Harari. Anything that he have written is something that I find myself going back to. He's the author of *Sapiens* and some really good material. And then there is David Deutsch. He's also a really good author. I follow him and his books. I find myself going back to these people when it comes to philosophy, business. Other than this, then of course there's politics, and at this point in the world, we are all consuming a lot of political and geopolitical kind of content.
Do you hire any mentors in the space, or do you just have a bunch of people that you look up to and you meet with regularly that you talk about your business, or how do you run that?
Absolutely. So I have a few mentors, most of them from my work life from before Whitecarrot.
Hmm.
And these are usually who have been my direct reports and my managers. So one of them is the CEO of the company that I worked at, which is Bezat, and his name is Talal. He's super friendly, and we connect almost on bi-weekly basis, share thoughts, and he's a true mentor in that aspect. And there are many other people from the same team who have been my bosses at different times throughout my career, and these people know how I operate, my strengths, my weaknesses, so they have a very way of guiding me, and I really get a lot of value from them in that aspect.
Awesome, cool. Yeah, I'm glad to know that because I think whether you call them mentors or not, but people in your life who maybe are doing better than you, to have a conversation with them consistently is extremely helpful in business in order to help elevate yourself. I mean, they say it all the time, like if you're in a room full of people, you don't want to be the person who's making the most money or the smartest person in the room, right? You want to be the least the dumbest person and the one who's making the least amount of money in order to elevate yourself up. And so that's awesome. So what we're gonna do here, Mridul, is we're going to jump into our lightning round, and we're going to just kind of ask questions meant for quick responses.
All right, I'll go first. So let me ask you, what is your favorite thing about living in Dubai?
The beach.
Okay, and what made you decide to create the business and move there for the business? Was, I know you hear a lot of people talking about the great side of running and building a business in UAE. What was the main driver for you on that?
I think if we are going to build a global business, which was my thought process 3 years back getting into this business, there could not have been a better place than UAE. It's like a melting pot in this part of the world where you get it's a very good test market. If you are able to make it work here, you'll be able to make it work in many different areas around it. So it made a lot of sense, and especially for the recruitment business, what we were getting into made a lot of sense.
All right, give me 3 things that you're seeing that most ATS software is missing.
Let's say reliable use of the latest technologies like AIs. They might say that we are using it here and there, but most of them don't work in the favor of customer. That's one. The other thing I would say, they rely a lot on point solutions. So you would have an ATS, but it won't really connect. It won't have its own scheduling system. You'll have to connect a Calendly. It won't have its own e-signing system. You'll have to get a PandaDoc or a DocuSign and integrate it with your ATS system. So this is the second one. And the third one I would say is the integrations with the right tools. Like when it comes to the enterprise systems like SAPs and Oracles, they may claim to have these integrations, but I think more than integrations, actually, it's the support around integrations. So companies don't really want to invest their time in setting up these integrations. They need a vendor who can come in and plug their solution into their current system, and that would require a lot of support and sitting down with the customer, understanding what they need, and then providing them more of a consultative approach, and that the market really lacks. And even though they might have the right product in place, but really being close to the customer, providing them the right implementation is really missing.
So it sounds to me like the tool you have has some very unique features and stands on its own self, but the real advantage that you offer to your clients is the combination of the tool with the support, and them integrated together is probably the biggest differentiator. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So if I had a magic wand here and say, hey, here as you expand into America, you defined this is the perfect customer, define to me what that customer looks like. So if somebody's watching this and they say, oh, we've checked those boxes, I need to go have a conversation with Whitecarrot. What does that customer look like?
That customer would be someone who are continuously hiring, and I'd say at least 4 to 5 people a month. They have a recruitment function, which they have either set up or they are about to set up. So dedicated talent team, and a system that they are using, but is not working in their favor. Like it's a system that might help them track candidates, but nothing more than that. A system that just helps you track candidates is nothing better than a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like you said, in the sales side of things, if you're just tracking the people without anything that's working to automate things for you, to do outreach for you, things like that, you just might as well use a spreadsheet. So if you were to envision yourself in 5 years from now in this company, in 5 years, 10 years from now, where do you see it going?
So we are a very ambitious company, although right now our scale is not that big. We recently just crossed 1 million in our overall revenues in dirhams, and but our goal is to get to 100 million in sales in the next 3 to 4 years. And we live in a unique time where a small team like ours can actually imagine of doing that. We have a small team of around 10 people and 4 people in the founding team. So and I think we can stay lean and still be ambitious and get to this point of providing a lot of value for a lot of customers out there, for a lot of companies out there, and also for candidates to be able to find a meaningful job faster.
What do you think will be your biggest challenge in accomplishing those lofty goals that you have? What's your biggest delta?
I would say most of the companies that I look at who reach that stage, they have some scale distribution channel or channels on how they are able to distribute their product. So I think this and distribution is getting is the part where we'll have to really figure out to get to that point. From the product side, I don't think we'll have as much of a challenge. It has never been easier to build great product as long as you have a good mindset, you're closer to your customer, you're listening to them, and you have the right team in place. Building a good product for the customer has never been this easier. I've been doing this for the last 10 years now. It's never been this easier. But the key challenge would be the distribution part. I think it's the distribution where we'll have to really figure out how to go about it and at a global level. And with every market having its unique nuances, every industry having its unique nuances, how to be able to do that at that scale would be the big challenge that we are looking forward to.
Yeah, one of the great things about what you guys are doing right now is that you already have the skills in AI, and I think that's going to be so transferable in the next, whether like, you never know, like maybe Whitecarrot completely changes one day because of how the world has changed, and who knows, but you have the skills in order to do that, which is great. So we're going to sign off here with this last question, and we ask every single person that jumps on our podcast here. At the end of the day, when Mridul is closing his eyes for the last time, he's done, with this life here on Earth, what do you want your legacy to be?
I don't really think about it that much, but uh, I'd say, yeah, a balanced, fulfilled life. If I can just look back with, of course, there will always be regrets, but if there's nothing major, there are minimal regrets, I think that would be fine. I think this was in one of the books from Jeff Bezos as well. He has a framework called regret minimization framework. If there's an opportunity, if there's something that you want to do, like go do it. Later on, there's no point looking back and thinking that, oh, I guess I should have done that kind of regret. So as long as I have the least number of these regrets and I have people around me who I love, who love me, and a good family, I think that would be a good life.
Awesome, man. Thank you, Mridul. I appreciate it. For anybody there, if you are in HR especially, please reach out to us in the U.S. Reach out to us. We can connect you with Mridul and his amazing software and Whitecarrot there. If you're anywhere else, especially too, Mridul's got a great software for you guys. If you got any value from this podcast, please like, subscribe, comment, share, hit the alert icon for the next podcast that drops. Mridul, thank you so much for your time and being here. We really appreciate it. We've enjoyed working with you, and we continue to hopefully have a long relationship of helping you build your business in Whitecarrot here. So I appreciate you jumping on with us.
Thanks. Really appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
1, 2.